Greetings, Earthlings. More to say from Nancy Love, and there's a specific reason why I'm making this video today. I hope that it is of general interest, and I hope that it is edifying to people on a wide basis. But there's a specific reason why I'm making this video today, and I don't think anything that I just said was actually broadcast. This thing seems to be slow and malfunctioning. There's a specific reason why I'm making this video today. In a strange way, I'm working for what I love most on this world. And although what I have to say will be relevant to the uh, behavior and practices of a lot of people, there are some specific people that I'm hoping to reach out to today because they really need to hear this. I'm appealing to them on a very specific level. Should have done my lipstick. Anyway, here goes. That are produced videos about these same subjects, but right now I don't have the money or the time, and the word needs to get out right now. What the heck is this? Why, it looks like an upside down U. What it is something I learned about in graduate school when I was studying psychology and behavioral health or behavioral medicine. This upside down U, oddly enough, represents how you can plot virtually any indice of the vast majority of things human beings do to make themselves feel better, healthier, less depressed, more fun. And it's very ironic that so many things that human beings do follow this same plot on a graph. Let me start giving you examples. Cocaine. Listen up. Those of you who stick that white stuff up your nose, a little of it will make you more powerful, more alert, whatever, more competent maybe. More of it makes you feel even better. Even more of it makes you real full of yourself and you think you could conquer the world. More of it causes you to start getting confused and disorganized. Possibly you've got heart palpitations and your palms are sweating right in. And more of it, you can do so much cocaine according to what we've studied in behavioral medicine, that you could do a line of cocaine and then pass right out and go to sleep. Why? Because right about here, the body becomes desensitized to it. Marijuana, a little bit of it can make you feel good. It's a pain reliever, it's an endorphin generator, it's an antidepressant until you do more and more and more. And there comes a point at which the receptors in your brain for cannabis are full. Same way with cocaine. There are receptors for cocaine in your brain. And once they get full, you can do more of it and more of it. And you hope that you're going to be feeling better and better. No, that's not going to happen. What if you were standing at the gas station and you were filling the tank of your car or truck? Would more and more gasoline do you any, listen to me, would more and more gasoline get you further down the road or make your car run better once it's full? No, more and more gasoline cannot be received by the gasoline tank of your car. And so it splashes out and gets all over the place and could start a fire. Don't go there. By the time you get to right here where your cannabis receptors for marijuana are full, what's going to happen is you can do more and more, and a lot of people will, and you're going to feel less, you're going to get less, you're going to get the blood sugar anomalies that a lot of marijuana can cause, otherwise known as munchies. And you can do so much marijuana that it has absolutely no effect whatsoever on your brain. None. And that, me, with all these things, whether it be quaaludes, oxycontin, methamphetamines, cocaine, alcohol, you can plot alcohol. You have a drink after work, you feel a little bit better. You have another drink, you get real loquacious and fearful, and you have some fun. You take another drink, you could pass out. You have another drink, you know, you could wake up in a bed with a stranger whose name you can't remember. Till waking up with the Onos, a friend of mine who's an alcoholic told me. And then you get over here and you can just pass out. You can literally use so much alcohol trying to feel better. You think you're still over here. You just want to feel better. You can use so much alcohol that the neurotoxicity of it can literally kill you. People have died from getting too drunk. People have died from using too much cocaine. People have died from using too much amphetamines because when you get over here, where it's become really detrimental and your body cannot absorb or utilize or metabolize any more of that substance, you keep pressing that lever, you keep opening better. Uh, Speed and things like that can cause heart failure. Prelude, toxicology, things like that can sedate you so much that you die of a low heart rate, slows down the heart rate. So this is really fascinating, and it really explains a lot of behavior. You know what else happens? The financial condition, because you might be able to afford having a drink after work or even two drinks after work. If you have 3 or 4 drinks after work, and by the time you get off of work, you end up paying all your money to those beverages. I heard a woman who became essentially addicted to antidepressants years ago said, "Oh, Nancy, I felt so much better when I first started taking antidepressants, but we were talking about how they tend to have a limited range in terms of time. The effect of a lot of antidepressants, including the very commonly used tricyclics, will actually diminish in about 4 months. And then you have to take more. It's a classic thing. The pharmaceutical company's making money off your depression. I wonder if they're not designed that way. The irony is, here's where she and I were talking. What she and I were talking about is the irony is that cognitive therapy tends to have the same, uh, tends to improve depression within a 4 month period, because studies were done back in the 80s in which people were put on pharmaceutical antidepressants, and another matched group were put on cognitive therapy, where they just sat around with somebody of some wisdom and insight and education and talked about why they were depressed and how they could not be depressed, what sort of life skills they could develop, what sort of behaviors they could begin to exhibit to where they could cure depression naturally. And then there was a control group in which no cognitive therapy or antidepressants were used, and lo and behold, the people who were on cognitive therapy got well and stayed well within 4 months or around the 4 month period. They were literally correcting what was wrong with their brain chemistry by talking their way through it and developing psychological skills that worked against that biochemical anomaly. But the antidepressant people, the people who were on pharmaceuticals, they needed more drugs. In 4 months, they weren't well, they were hooked. And whatever pharmaceutical company that was selling them that drug was their pusher. You want to talk about big pharma? You want to talk about some of the most unscrupulous drug pushers in the world. I'm getting a bit, straying a bit, but I do want to tell you something. Many years ago, well over a decade ago, I talked to someone who used to be one of the vice presidents for a very well known major international pharmaceutical corporation. He was going around to doctors' offices talking about a new anti cancer drug. And he got called into the office of the president of the company. He thought he was doing such a good job, he was going to commendation or a raise. No, that's not what the guy wanted to talk to him about. The president of a major pharmaceutical company, and believe me, you know the name, told this vice president to stop. Listen to me, this is important. to stop telling doctors to prescribe drug B, the new one, and to start telling them to push the old drug, um, drug A, I'll call it. And the representative, who was actually a field rep and going out into people's offices and talking to doctors in person, said, "Why? Why on earth would you say that? We know that for certain cancers, such as breast cancer and so forth, drug B is much more efficacious. Drug B could save people's lives, prevent them from dying of breast cancer. Why would you tell me to push drug A and give doctors kickbacks or, you know, financial rewards? It's called kickbacks, um, for telling people with cancer to use the wrong drug." And the president of that company, whose name you would know, said, "By God, we don't want to cure cancer. We just want to treat it. If we cure cancer, there goes a $5 billion industry, and that's just in this country alone. We want people to keep their cancer so we can make more money." And then you know what the president of that company did? He said, "Do you want your Christmas bonus or not? I want mine. Tell doctors to push drug A, whether it's beneficial to their particular type of cancer or not, instead of drug B, because we're making a lot more money on drug A. It's well established. We've got the the production facilities well established, and our profit margin for drug A, which is not effective on certain types of cancers, is so much better than the profit margin for our new drug B that you're going to be fired unless you don't." And you know what my friend said? "I've been so proud of him. This is actually why that man is my friend." The man said, "You don't have to fire me. I quit." And he walked out of a job that paid him and his family 6 digits a year. It was like 200 and something thousand a dollar. His Christmas bonus could be larger than his yearly salary sometimes. But he walked away from a lot of money because, unlike the president of that major pharmaceutical company, my friend, a former vice president of that company, cared more about your life and your health than he cared about his wallet. And I've always been so honored and privileged to call that man a friend, because he's the sort of person, we all need to be. We all need to be able to walk away from coercion and the almighty dollar when the concept of service to humanity comes up. So here we go, talking again about the thing. What my friend, a lady friend I knew for 30 years, who was chronically depressed, probably because she was an alcoholic, said was that, interestingly enough, because we're talking about the J curve and how cognitive therapy might have healed her issues in 4 months, but instead she'd done a little antidepressants, and then her doctor had to up her dose, and then her doctor had to give her even more antidepressants. She said, "Nancy, I'll show you where I am at the J curve." She was over here, and she said, "The cost of antidepressants at this level has itself become a source of depression." She was hooked on a drug, a legal, doctor prescribed drug, but ironically, the cost had originally been $30 to $60 a month, and every time she got desensitized, it's called chemical desensitization. Every time her brain receptors got so full, she needed to up and over. I think the same thing happens with things like oxycodone. Um, she was over here because having to pay 200 and something dollars a month for antidepressants was in itself a new form of depression, a new source of depression, and she was financially challenged. because she couldn't afford to pay a pusher. Good Lord, people, show up, show up for some of this information. So here I have tried to explain with this very simple graph that anyone can understand what chemical desensitization is, how it can hurt you, how we all do this. A little coffee makes you feel good, more makes you feel better. Anger itself can be addictive. A lot of people don't realize that chronic anger can up your blood pressure. It increases your adrenaline rate, but at some point you get so angry your body can't process all the adrenaline that and you start feeling worse. A lot of things, including even belief systems or chronic emotional states, can follow this same U curve. So why don't you get off this? Stability is here. Stability would be stop at one. If one beer makes you feel better, stop there. I do not ever recommend doing cocaine, methamphetamines, all these other illegal drugs or the doctor prescribed pharmaceuticals that can be so dangerous. Don't even get there. Don't start with one. Get off the coke. There's a specific reason that I am making this video today. I'm trying to reach people, two or more people that I think may be watching every move I make and every breath I take. And I'm trying to explain to them why smart, competent, motivated people can get really stupid when they get all coked up, drunk, drugged out. They're on this vicious cycle, and it is a roller coaster. And only sleep and detoxification can get you back to here. So if you are someone who ever does cocaine at all, if you are someone who ever does methamphetamines at all, and as far as I'm concerned, if you're someone who's addicted to all these pharmaceuticals, like some of the sedatives and so forth, you need to get off because it changes your behavior. People in particular who use alcohol, cocaine, and methamphetamines are people who get domestic violence situations. They're not themselves. They could be the most rational, kind, compassionate, gentle people into horrible domestic violence situations. Sometimes they get suicidal ideations. Sometimes they physically assault children or animals. Sometimes people who do cocaine and alcohol assault animals they would never hurt if they weren't drugged and drunk. You don't hurt the little ones because you can't be bothered to recognize that you've become a drug addict and you don't even know yourself by the time you're up that U curve. Who are you? Who are you? Here you might still be yourself. But by the time you're up here, and certainly by the time you're here, you're not even yourself anymore. Your brain isn't functioning like it's your brain. Your brain itself has, has become so deleterious to your own personality and possibly your soul's functioning that you're not even you anymore. But you're going to have to answer for everything you've done when you're coked up and drunk and on speed and all that sort of thing. Apologized to me for the way he behaved. He said, "Oh," and he'd be like as calm as a kitten. He'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry I behaved that way, Nancy. I was on speed." That's not an excuse. His being on illegal methamphetamines was a reason he behaved in a completely anomalous and brutal fashion toward me. but it's not an excuse. Get over yourselves, man. I have a saying, grow up and show up. We need you to be who you really are. And for the vast majority of us, that's rational, decent, kind, ethical, that you behave in ways that you never would behave if you weren't drunk or drugged. And for some of us, we've suffered very horribly, either personally or by watching children and animals be harmed that we know would never be harmed if the people doing the harm weren't substance abusers. And I've tried to explain by showing you the U curve how it's a very natural phenomenon and you're not alone and you are, allowing yourself to be victimized by certain facets of human physiology that we all share. So get help. Do whatever you need to do. If you can afford to, take a sabbatical from your work and check into a drug and alcohol treatment center. Talk to your doctor, but not the one who's overprescribing medication for you. Get a health coach. Talk to someone like me. Get a psychiatrist or a psychologist or, somebody. Go maybe to a religious or a spiritual advisor if that turns you on. But for God's sake, people, start being yourselves instead of letting drugs and alcohol use you. You think You think when you're here and just trying to use some substance to make you feel better that you're using the substance. But I promise you, by the time you're up here, substance is using you. And whoever is selling it to you, be that the alcohol producers, the pharmaceutical company, your illegal drug pusher, they're using you and they need you to stay addicted because they're your pusher and they want your money. Please really listen to what I have to say. I have the best and highest of intentions. I have compassion for souls who are trying to use molecules. We're all souls trying to figure out why we're here and how to manage this being thing. We're in a dimension that is fraught with challenge, not subject to addiction. Our bodies are. So, this thing is, if you can differentiate between your soul, your personality, your identity, your individuality, and your brain chemistry, it helps a lot to distance yourself from the anomalies that your brain chemistry is experiencing. Your soul is not subject to addiction. Your brain chemistry and your body is. So let your soul triumph and start controlling your body and brain chemistry rather than letting your brain chemistry control your soul, your individuality, your personality. See what I'm saying? More on this later. Get off the coke and throw the alcohol in your house down the drain today. Ciao for now.